You know that feeling when your credit card bill hits your inbox and there's a $1,000 charge from a tool you forgot you even had? One owner told me they found a renewal for a product their team hadn't logged into in 6 months. Not only did it quietly swallow profit, it turned into this stressful afternoon of blame, scrambling through old emails and trying to cancel something that had already renewed for another year. That is vendor sprawl in real life. Not a theoretical finance problem. It's mental load, it's distraction, and it's lost runway for the projects you actually care about. And the wild part? A lot of that can be fixed with a simple scorecard and some light AI, not a huge IT project.
Pattern detected. When I look across small and mid-sized businesses, the story repeats. Too many tools, too little visibility, and renewals that sneak through because no one owns the full picture. Today, we're going to change that with something practical you can stand up in a few weeks, not a few quarters.
And no, that does not mean hiring a full engineering team or wiring up a data warehouse. We're talking Google Sheets, Airtable, Zapier or Make, and a tiny bit of optional Python. That's it. This is all very solvable bottleneck energy.
Exactly. Order creates momentum. Once you can see what you're paying for, how it's used, and where tools overlap, decisions get a lot less emotional and a lot more operational. You stop arguing opinions and start working from a scorecard.
So here's the game plan for today. First, we'll talk about what to collect in a privacy-first way. Then, we'll give you a 5-minute owner interview script so you're not just trusting an AI guess. After that, we'll walk through the low-cost tooling stack, then show you how to score vendors and make decisions without drama. We'll wrap with a simple pilot plan and 3 actions you can take this week. Let's make it irresistible to actually clean this up. Nova, kick us off. If a listener does nothing else, what's the minimum set of information they need to collect?
Clarity achieved. You do not need to spy on every click or ingest sensitive customer data. Think in terms of 4 minimal signal types: invoices, renewal dates, coarse usage, and outcomes. First, invoices. Pull the last 3 to 12 months of vendor invoices from your accounting system or email. For each tool, you want the vendor name, product name, amount, billing frequency, and who approves it. That's your financial spine.
Second, renewal dates. This is where surprises happen. Capture the contract end date or the next renewal charge date. If you can, note the required notice period for cancellation. Even a rough estimate like renews every January is better than nothing.
Third, coarse usage. Don't overcomplicate this. Privacy matters. You're not looking at individual user behavior. You're asking at a tool level. Roughly how many active users, how often is it accessed, and is it tied in to any other critical systems? Number of logins per week, approximate seat count, or even just high, medium, low usage will work. And fourth, outcomes. This is the anchor. For each vendor, you write 1 sentence. What business result is this tool supposed to support? Lead generation, closed revenue, time saved, compliance, customer retention. Without this, you're just looking at costs in a vacuum.
I love that you called it an anchor. Humans love this stuff. 1 clear, simple sentence that reminds everyone, this isn't just a line item. This is supposed to be delivering something. And if nobody can agree on that sentence, that's very loud overlap or dead tool energy.
Exactly. And we can do all of this in a privacy-first way. Use your accounting exports and high-level usage metrics. When we bring AI in, it's working on structured vendor data, not customer records or sensitive content. You can even keep it local or within a private environment if you prefer.
Yeah, if your first thought was, I don't want an AI model chewing on my customer data. Good, you shouldn't. In this setup, the AI is summarizing, categorizing, and spotting patterns in your vendor list, names, costs, and descriptions, not poking around inside your CRM notes or support tickets.
Let the process lead here. Step 1 is simply get all your vendors into one place. Nova, could you sketch a one-page rubric for them? Something short they can literally keep next to their laptop while they do this.
Definitely. Picture a single page or a single tab in Sheets with these fields: vendor name, owner, annual or monthly spend, renewal date, usage level, high, medium, low, number of critical integrations, outcome statement, and a quick privacy note. Handles customer data, internal data, or just utilities.
The privacy heuristic is simple. If a tool directly touches customer data or confidential internal information, you flag it as higher risk and treat any change more cautiously. Those vendors get extra scrutiny, and you do not rush to cancel them based only on low logins.
So for everyone listening, your first assignment is not fire half your tools. It's give every vendor a little profile: name, cost, renewal, rough usage, what it's supposed to do, and whether it's around sensitive data. That alone will make your next renewal season feel completely different.
And once that's in place, we can make it smarter with a short owner interview. Because invoices don't tell you about that one edge case the sales team depends on at the end of every quarter.
Yes, this is where the human stories meet the spreadsheet. Nova, walk us into that 5-minute interview script. If I'm a busy owner or team lead, how do I do this without turning it into a 3-hour therapy session?
Let's optimize that. Think of this as a structured check-in, not an interrogation. 5 questions, 5 minutes. You can literally send the prompts ahead of time.
Question 1. What do you actually use this tool for in your day-to-day work? You're looking for real workflows, not marketing language. If they hesitate, that's data.
Question 2. If this tool disappeared tomorrow, what would break in the next 2 weeks? This surfaces critical dependencies and also shows you where there's fear versus reality.
Question 3. Are there other tools we already pay for that can do the same thing, even if they're not as convenient? This is your overlap detector. People will often say, well, we could do this in our CRM, but we like this interface better. Question 4. Where does this tool slow you down or cause friction? Maybe it's login issues, exports that never format correctly, or support that takes weeks. Friction is a hidden cost. And question 5. If we renegotiated, consolidated, or switched, what would you need to feel safe about that change? This tells you the conditions for a successful transition or pilot instead of just getting resistance.
That last one is so powerful. It turns "don't touch my tools" into "here's how to touch them without breaking my world." From a psychology and change management angle, that's gold. You're making them co-design the safety net.
And operationally, that's your checklist. If they say, I need a 2-week overlap and the ability to restore the old system if we miss a deadline, great. You build that into the pilot. Systems never sleep, but humans do, so you design around that.
Where does AI come into this conversation, Nova? Because I can feel some listeners thinking, do I need to manually read every invoice and take every note myself?
You can use lightweight AI to do the boring summarization, not the judgment. For example, feed your exported list of vendors, the names and descriptions, into an AI and ask it to generate a 1-sentence purpose statement and a category: marketing, sales, finance, operations, security, and so on. Then you pair that with the human interview. The AI gives you the default description. The owner validates, corrects, or expands it. 2 quick human checks, spot-checking invoices, and a short interview keep you from acting on incomplete AI guesses.
And for the record, those inputs can be very boring, very safe CSV exports. Vendor name, amount, billing frequency, maybe a short description. You do not need to pipe in email bodies or contracts for this phase.
So, story plus spreadsheet. The AI drafts the "what is this" in plain language. The humans explain the how we really use it, and then we give it a score, which is where Stryker comes in, because I know everyone's wondering, okay, what does this actually look like in tools I already know?
Deploying now. Let's make this tangible. I'll walk through 4 pieces: an Airtable base, a Google Sheets overlap matrix, a Zapier or Make automation to pull billing CSVs, and a tiny Python script for the folks who aren't scared of a command line. First, Airtable or Notion or whatever you like as your vendor hub. You create a table with columns for vendor name, category, owner, monthly and annual spend, renewal date, usage level, outcome statement, and risk flags. You can paste in your existing CSV, and Airtable will auto-create records. 10 to 20 minutes to set up if you've ever used a spreadsheet. Second, the Google Sheets overlap matrix. This is where you visually see redundancy. On one tab, list all your vendors with their category and primary outcome. On another tab, create a simple matrix where rows are vendors and columns are capabilities: email marketing, CRM, analytics, file storage, project management, and so on. Then you use simple formulas, no fancy scripting, to mark a 1 if a vendor supports a capability. Sum the columns, and you instantly see we have 5 tools doing email campaigns, or 3 analytics platforms, but only 1 is actually used heavily. Precision wins, even in a spreadsheet.
That's viral energy for the operations nerds listening right now. You're basically making a bingo card of, why do we have 3 tools that all send emails?
Exactly. Third piece, Zapier or Make to pull billing CSVs. Many accounting systems or payment processors let you export transactions by vendor. You can automate a monthly export, either by email to a monitored inbox or via an integration, and drop that file into Google Drive or a specific folder. Then, Zapier or Make can watch that folder, grab new CSVs, and append new rows into your Airtable base or Google Sheet. That means your cost data stays fresh without someone spending a Friday afternoon copying and pasting line items. Fourth, for the slightly more technical teams, a 20-line Python script to normalize data. Think of it as a translator. Different exports use different column names: vendor, supplier, merchant. The script reads the CSV, renames the columns, and outputs a clean, standard file you can safely import into Airtable or Sheets. Time to implement. Airtable base, under an hour. Google Sheets matrix, 1 focused afternoon. Zapier or Make recipe, an hour or 2, especially if you start from a template. Python script, maybe an evening for someone who's written basic scripts before. This is not a 6-month project plan. This is a 2 to 4 week sprint.
And that's why it works for small teams. You don't need to stop the business to do this. You just embed the work into a short pilot window, assign an owner, and keep moving. Remove the friction, keep the momentum.
Okay, so we have data flowing into one place, a matrix that shows where tools overlap, and AI helping us summarize what each thing does. Now the big question: how do we actually score vendors and decide what to keep, renegotiate, consolidate, or sunset without sparking a revolt?
Let's streamline this. The AI Vendor Scorecard has 6 core fields: value, usage, overlap, friction, legal or security risk, and renewal date urgency. Each one gets a simple rating, usually 1 to 5, and together they tell you what to do. Value is how much tangible impact does this tool have on revenue, cost savings, or risk reduction. A 5 is we close deals with this, or we'd be non-compliant without it. A 1 is nice to have dashboards that no one reads. Usage is high, medium, or low, converted to a score. High usage across multiple teams is a 5. One person logs in once a month, that's a 1. Overlap asks, how many other tools can do the same job? If this tool is unique and critical, it gets a low overlap, high score. If 3 other tools cover 80% of its features, overlap is high and the score goes down. Friction is reversed. More friction, lower score. This includes slow performance, bad support, integration issues, or constant workarounds. Teams usually know this instantly when you ask. Legal or security risk is where our mitigations come in. Anything touching contracts, customer data, or compliance zones gets flagged. You don't cancel these casually. You add an extra review step with legal or a contracts advisor before any changes.
Efficiency is inevitable when you respect the risk layer. Many disasters come from turning tools off without checking termination clauses or service obligations. So the rule is, if a vendor is flagged cancel or consolidate, you must run a contract check before you execute. That's non-negotiable.
Finally, renewal date urgency. A tool renewing in 10 days gets a different color than one renewing in 6 months. You're prioritizing where to focus your energy first. Once you've scored each vendor, the decision rules are straightforward. High value, high usage, low friction? Keep and maybe double down. High value but high friction? Keep for now but actively improve or negotiate. Low value, low usage, high overlap, high friction? That's a sunset or consolidate candidate. And medium everything with big overlap? That's a renegotiate zone. Use your data to ask for better pricing or fewer seats.
And just to layer on a safety net, before you flip any switches, you run a non-production pilot with a rollback plan. If you're replacing a tool, you keep both running for a short overlap period. You test workflows end to end, and you only turn the old one off after a human signs off that key processes still work.
That also helps mitigate messy data issues. Sometimes exports are incomplete or mislabeled. Pairing AI-driven insights with pilot testing and human interviews protects you from making a big decision on flawed data.
What about actual targets, Pulse? Because I know my marketing brain loves a good benchmark. What should a small team reasonably expect if they do this for 2 to 4 weeks?
In our experience, 5 to 20% subscription savings is very realistic without cutting into what customers actually love. That might look like canceling truly unused tools, reducing seat counts on overbought platforms, or consolidating overlapping features into a smaller set of systems. The timeline is short. A 2 to 4 week pilot is enough to inventory, interview, score, and make a first wave of decisions. You're not trying to achieve perfection. You're aiming for a cleaner, more intentional stack and a plan to revisit it quarterly.
So, that's the big picture. Let's talk about how to actually run that pilot and not accidentally break your sales team 2 days before the quarter closes.
Pilot node activated. Here's a simple checklist. First, define the scope. Pick 1 or 2 categories, say marketing and collaboration tools, rather than everything you've ever bought online. Second, assign an owner, someone who can herd invoices, interviews, and decisions without getting lost. Third, set guardrails. For this pilot, you're not allowed to turn off or consolidate any tool that supports mission-critical workflows without a signed-off rollback plan and a contract review. That's how you avoid SLA breaches or surprise penalties.
Fourth, design the rollback. If a tool is flagged for sunset, you specify exactly how to restore it or an alternative if the new setup fails. For example, keep the old account active but downgraded for 30 days. Export configuration settings and document the steps to re-enable key integrations. Architecting the fix before you need it beats improvising at midnight.
Fifth, involve the teams. You don't want shadow IT popping up because people feel tools are being ripped away. Share the scorecard with them. Show your logic. Ask for input on friction, overlap, and what safe change looks like. Preserve 70 to 80% of existing workflows during the pilot. Target the obvious waste first.
And then you establish governance. That sounds formal, but it can be simple. A recurring quarterly review where you update spend, usage, and scores. Plus a rule that any new vendor must be added to the scorecard on day one. If it's not on the sheet, it doesn't get approved.
That's like brand guidelines for your tech stack. You're deciding this is how we buy and keep tools, instead of we'll deal with it when the credit card cries. Creativity unlocked when you're not drowning in logins.
You also decide who has veto power. For example, operations and finance sign off on any cancel or consolidate move for tools over a certain spend level. That way, decisions aren't happening ad hoc in someone's inbox.
And please document your integrations. A lot of resistance and risk comes from hidden connections, little scripts, webhooks, embedded forms. Part of the pilot is simply listing. This tool integrates with CRM, website, billing. Even a rough map helps you avoid breaking hidden workflows.
All right, let's land this with something everyone can act on immediately. 3 moves you can make this week to start your own AI vendor scorecard, even if you're listening to this in between meetings.
First move, export your vendor list. From your accounting system or credit card portal, pull a CSV of all software and subscription charges for the last 3 to 12 months. Highlight everything that looks like SaaS or digital services. That's your raw material.
Second move, create your starter scorecard. Open a Google Sheet. Add columns for vendor name, spend, renewal date, usage level, outcome statement, and privacy category. Spend 1 focused hour filling in what you already know. Don't chase perfection. Chase visibility.
Third move, run 2 owner interviews. Pick one high-spend tool and one you're not sure about. Use the 5 questions we shared. Ask what they actually use it for, what would break, where it overlaps, where it causes friction, and what they'd need to feel safe trying a change. Humans love this stuff. It makes them feel heard, and it gives you real insight.
If you want to go one level deeper with almost no extra effort, you can grab a simple AI prompt to categorize your vendors, and even a Zapier recipe to keep your billing data updated. We've bundled those for you, so you're not starting from a blank page.
Yeah, we put together a full template pack for you. The Airtable sample base, the Google Sheets overlap matrix, a Zapier recipe to pull billing CSVs into your sheet, that 5-minute interview script, and an AI prompt pack so you can generate those 1-sentence purpose statements safely and quickly.
To grab it, head over to apexblue.com/vendor scorecard. That's where you'll find everything we mentioned today laid out step by step, so you can run a 2 to 4 week pilot without reinventing the wheel.
Vendor sprawl doesn't have to be the cost of doing business. With a simple, privacy-first scorecard and a little bit of AI, you can protect your margins, your focus, and your team's sanity.
All right,
That's it for today's episode of Navigating AI with Apex Blue. Go start your scorecard, save yourself from the next surprise renewal, and we'll see you next time. Stay smart, stay curious, and stay ahead.